Hey guys, I wasn't able to get away this weekend, so I figured I'd take advantage of the time and put together a little segment on R-Hops and how I've done mine. Now believe it or not, the only gun I have left that's not R-Hopped is my original gun, this MP5. It's a classic Army MP5 with a short barrel. I'm not expecting much out of the performance of the R-Hop, but it's going to donate the barrel for this video. Now it all starts with the patch material. Most people use tubing, however the real trick is getting the right tubing. I like to use siliconized rubber for my patches, but the key is to get tubing with a wall thickness that closely matches that of your barrel. This may take some searching, but it makes for the perfect, simple R-Hop install. To begin, I set up a dowel pin in my drill press, in this case an old drill bit turned upside down. I slide the tubing over the dowel, then use a blade to trim and square the ends. Next, using the window of the barrel as a guide, we mark the size of the patch. Now with the table and the vise raised to the mark, we'll cut the tubing to size. And there you have the makings of what should be a perfect R-Hop patch. Now remember, it's key to find tubing with a wall thickness that matches that of your barrel. Otherwise, rather than trying to sand or cut excess material off of a patch that's too thick, I would just order a pre-cut patch online from Hunter Seeker or one of the many retailers. Now that we have our patch material prepped, we need to fit it to the window of the barrel, which means matching the angle of the cut ends to the flat portion of the window of the barrel. The key to a flawless R-Hop is a well-fitting patch. When it comes to cutting the patch, there are many ways it can be done. You can cut it with a blade or a knife, or even using scissors, which I actually found to work best for me. Either way, we begin by cutting the tubing. Before we even worry about the angle of the cut, we know it has to be square or 90-degree angle, so I've pre-marked the tubing as a guide for the cut. This way we begin with a good square end. We don't have the right angle yet, but now that will be simple. Using the cut end as a guide, we now need to trim a pretty sharp angle to match the flat on the window of the barrel. I find that using the scissors allows me to twist the blade into the rubber and achieve a sharper angle than I can with a knife. However, if you do choose to use a knife, make sure you have a fresh, sharp blade and use a straight edge to hold the patch in place while you make the cut. This will help you keep your patch in place when you make the cut. However, as I said, personally I prefer to use the scissor technique. To do this, I turn the tubing with the inside upward on the blade of the scissors and twist the scissors counterclockwise to achieve the proper angle, then slowly trim. And there we have the perfect extreme angle needed to match the window of the barrel. Now we simply repeat the process for the other end, however first we must mark it for the right length. To do this, we simply take the end we've just cut and position it on the window and mark the other end, opting for it to be a little bit long rather than short. We can always go back and trim a little later. After you mark your patch, be sure you transfer your mark to the back side of the tubing so it's visible as you make your cut. Then, as before, position the tubing on the scissors with the inside facing up, and while putting slight counterclockwise pressure on the blades, slowly making your cut. And now you should have the perfect R-hop patch. Let's see how ours fits. Now when you think you've gotten it close, double check by putting a dowel pin back in the barrel and making sure that it doesn't stand up above the window. If it does, simply trim one of the ends a little bit more. This one's looking pretty good. For gluing the patch in position, there are many things that you can use. I've had good results with epoxy, superglue or CA, and various types of gasket sealant or RTV. For my personal preference, I prefer to use the CA or superglue, and I like the gel rather than the liquid. These others all work well. The epoxy I've had really good luck with, but it is a little bit messy and it takes a little bit longer to dry. The CA not only is quick, but it really doesn't leave much residue, and being the gel, it's easy to deal with. Remember, whatever you use, the trick is to keep it from getting on the inside of the barrel. You don't need a lot, use it sparingly, and try not to make a mess. Here's a little bit better view of the R-hop patch and the angles that we had to cut on it. Now it may be a little easier to see on this aluminum barrel, but the window that the R-hop goes into has flat spots where it's been machined out. And these flat spots are where you need to apply the glue. As I said before, I prefer to use CA or superglue. I use the gel. Loctite makes a good one, but they're all about the same. CA is CA. Use a CA gel. And the main thing is, do it with your dowel in so you don't get any excess into the barrel, and be careful to put on just small amounts. You don't need much, and if you don't get any into the barrel, you don't have to clean anything up. It's basically as simple as that. I like to put a little bit on a little piece of wire tie here and just apply it like that. You can get your own method, but as long as you don't get a lot on there, just apply it to the outer edges. Okay. We can go ahead and glue this R-hop in this barrel and show you how it's done. Like I said, I like to use superglue or CA. I use a gel CA. Just get a little bit of it on the end of the flat piece of material. I use a zip tie. And you just don't want to get much on there. It doesn't take much. You don't want to get it into the barrel, even though you got the plug in there. The dowel does stop a lot of it, but you just want to be careful. All you need is a little. Just get it closer to the outside there. It'll work its way in. Make sure you don't get too much on there. Turn it over. Same thing on the other side. Doesn't take a lot. The gel is definitely the way to go. It doesn't run all over the place. Goes where you want it. So that's pretty much it right there. This one's cut nice, so it doesn't matter what way I go in with it. If not, I'd recut it. Right in there like that. And there you go. As simple as that. Now I'll let it sit at least, for 5 minutes or so with the dowel in there. Then I go ahead and twist the dowel and take it out. Look it over. If there's anything that has gotten into the barrel, just to make sure that you clean it off before you go any further with it. Another trick I like to do is when I take the dowel out, I'll go ahead and put the bucking on. It holds the top of it in nice and firm and lets the glue set up good. But with the CA, it's pretty much ready to go already right now. So That's pretty much all there is to gluing it. Now this is the part where I'd normally show you how to turn a bucking inside out and trim away the ridge and the excess bump. But nowadays that's not really necessary. My recommendation is to go to your local airsoft shop and get a flat hop bucking. I like to use the Prometheus flat hop bucking. It works really good. It's nice and soft, yet it's still good and firm and does a really good job with an AAG. It really does a lot better job than what you're going to do trimming away the excess on an old bucking, and it's much easier. You just pop it on and pretty much done as far as the bucking goes. Now on some guns it may be necessary to adjust or even remake the nub. What you want to do is put 0 hop on and drop a BB through. Make sure that there's no pressure on the R hop patch. The BB should drop right through once you get it through the bucking. If this isn't the case, then you've got a little bit too much pressure, and what you need to do is you'll need to adjust or back off on the pressure and the spacing that you have on your nub. Basically shorten the nub if you can adjust it, or else you might have to remake one. A lot of people will use little pieces of eraser, but basically you just want to get it so you don't have any pressure on that R hop patch when it's on 0. I like mine to come in about mid-range, so I have plenty of adjustment, but as long as it's a couple of clicks before you actually have pressure. And again, how you check that is with 0 hop, drop a BB through. It should drop through. It shouldn't be bound up at all with the R hop patch. If that's the case, like I said, you just have to adjust. You might have to custom make your nub. Erasers work really well. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Now I've done about 15 of these, and to be honest, I don't think I've had to do this more than a couple of times. I think that's because the R hop patch actually fills up the whole window, and the flat hop buckings that are from the Prometheus or other companies are really good. There's no excess bump there or anything, so you don't end up with anything extra there, and they just work out perfect. But like I said, it might be the case with your particular gun that you have to do a little adjusting. But otherwise, you know, that's pretty much all there is to it. Now the reason an R hop works so well is because the R hop patch completely fills the hop up window, providing the maximum possible contact area inside the barrel, and thus maximum backspin for those heavier BBs, and more effect with less pressure. Now keep in mind that R hop can be extremely, even overly sensitive in a gun with a lesser quality hop up unit. But with a good hop up, I believe it's the single most effective way to improve range and accuracy in almost any gun. But that's just my opinion. As usual, thanks for watching. Help us grow and subscribe today. And a like always helps. For Tas Airsoft, this is Smoke. See you next time.